Today we will be talking about switching to Proxmox VE with Catalogic DPX vPlus mastering backup and recovery. As Catalogic, we provide secure backup and recovery solutions that ensure your data, whether on-prem or on tape or in the cloud, are immutable, registerable, and safe in the first place. And we mean it because we've been in this business for the last 3 decades after all. Now, please let me introduce my guests, Klaus Noske, Solution Architect, and Martin van Field, CTO, North America for Catalogic Software. Note that this is Ask Me Anything webinar, so feel free to use chat where you can share your queries throughout the session. So that being said, we've heard from the field that Proxmox has been on a rise recently. So my first question to Klaus, can you elaborate on who and why is considering switching to Proxmox VE?
Yeah, thanks a lot for the introduction, and also let me introduce myself. As mentioned before, Klaus Noske from the German team. About I think nearly 2 years with Catalogic now, so I'm not part of the team for this full 3 decades, but recent time. And the first thing when we talked about and we heard about from partners about Proxmox was also the time before Broadcom acquired VMware, and so this was not or is not just an approach to think about regarding cost. Also, customers saw that Proxmox is a stable platform. Also, topics that are based on community efforts. And when we take a look at these different open hypervisors that we can see in the market, I think that some customers, some also administrators, refused a little bit to try out an hypervisor or try out a open hypervisor, because some of them are really hard to install, hard to manage. A lot of stuff is command line based. And then when you try out Proxmox the first time, and this was also an experience that I have, is you can just download the ISO image, you can just install it from scratch, and it's really intuitive to handle. It has a web interface, so I think it's regarding also an easy way to start with the product. And then when you get familiar with it, you see that it has a lot of capabilities, so that a small to mid-size company can handle all the virtualization efforts that they had before, also with this product, and see that it is quite an easy approach to think of something different. There was and sorry, I think I mentioned it before, I'm from the German team, so sorry about my sometimes strange accent regarding English. This was also something that came up from a partner in Germany that says, we have some customers that really are forced by their management to think about topics to reduce cost and think about software that is not that cost intensive. Although you have this community-based option, there is still some kind of support that you should think about, but it's an easy approach to get in contact with a different virtualization solution that is based on standard virtualization products that you see in the Linux environments. And I think this is the good approach to start and step in and talk a little bit about who we are. I noticed some of the names that I know from the European area. So some people are coming back. I think there are also some new potential customers or new interested people in here. So just talk a little bit about who we are. Catalogic, you mentioned it before, we're about 3 decades on the market. The main product, DPX, formerly known in earlier days as sync sort backup, is still there. It's enhanced in its capabilities and also in the functionality and the handling of the product itself. Then for the additional options that we see in the market, we added the product to our portfolio that's called DPX vPlus. And this is the data protection product for, I think on the one hand, Microsoft 365, where more and more customers are realizing that, it is a cloud service. It has some capabilities regarding recovery, but it's not really backed up. And this is a topic that we see in a lot of cloud environments. There is some kind of maintenance in it. There is some kind of support in it, but it's not a pure backup that is delivered by the cloud providers. So I think this is the main approach where customers think about, okay, we need to have a stable backup, because most of the time when customers or when users realize that they miss data, it's at the end of the normal time of the recycle bin or stuff like this. So it's really important to also have a backup in these areas. And this is the second part where we talk about today. The second main functionality of vPlus is the data protection for open virtualization platforms. And so in this week, we want to focus on Proxmox, but there's also support for KVN, for Oracle, VM, for other hypervisors. And this is something that we will show today and talk about today. Third product, I talked about the cloud providers. Third product that we have in place is Cloud Casa, and this is the data protection for Kubernetes. Kubernetes is coming up more and more in different environments, and more also people are realizing that it's not that just the amount of machines, the amount of nodes that you fire up to handle workloads. You also have a lot of persistent data in these environments, and so you also have more and more the requirement to have a stable and reliable data protection also for Kubernetes workloads. And this is the third part or the third product in our portfolio. But today we want to talk about Proxmox itself. I mentioned before, okay, Proxmox is some kind of open source option to do virtualization, but it's a little bit more. When you take a look at different forums, whatever you are reading, whatever are the media that you have in the different countries, you see a lot of products, and especially since the acquisition of VMware by Broadcom, more and more customers are think about these other hypervisors, because there might be an impact in their licensing features, especially for smaller customers. A lot of options are removed or moved to another license model, and so it will be more and more important. Proxmox itself supports KVM virtual machines, and also this is a smaller portion that we will not tackle that much today. It also supports containers, and so it will be also a good add-on virtualization solution in a lot of environments. It has an intuitive web UIs, and this makes it also easy for me to get the first contact with Proxmox, try it out, see what options are available, what are the features. And with more and more users and more systems coming up, there were also some additional capabilities added. So there is a live migration feature. There is also high availability. And there was also in some documentation mentioned, there is also a live migration from other virtualization products to Proxmox. I don't want to talk about in detail how to work with Proxmox, how to handle Proxmox, but there are still some topics that you should take care of. So live migration feature, high availability, these are functionalities that are inside Proxmox. The migration from another virtualization solution to Proxmox, to KVM, to whatever you have in place, there are a lot of features that you can move your existing system with a minimum of downtime, with a minimum of service interruption. But you need to plan, and this is always the part for a migration. You need to plan your steps correctly and see also what are the requirements for my system. Perhaps to give you an example, when you just do a migration, and this happens in a lot of different virtualization products. When you, for example, migrate a Windows system to another virtualization product, the first thing that you will recognize is, okay, there's a new network adapter, no problem. But when you have a fixed IP address on your system set, which is a normal approach for a server, then you will figure out, okay, there's this interesting stuff that Windows will not let me use the same IP address because it was bound, or it is bound to another adapter. So these tiny little problems that came up, just as an example to think about. When you want to do a migration to another product, please plan the steps, take a look at the different requirements, and also keep in mind that perhaps with your existing virtualization product, for example, you also have a client installed, some kind of feature set for functionality inside the virtualization and so on. And last topic about Proxmox, and then we talk a little bit more about backup. Yeah, it is an open source solution. Yeah, there are some support capabilities, support options, and this is also something that you need to make sure, or need to take care of, what kind of option you want to choose. So no direct licensing cost, but in a lot of cases, it might be interesting to also have a support for this. When we think about the backup process itself, and when you open up a support ticket on our side, yeah, we have some knowledge about different virtualization products, but we cannot do the full product support there. Okay, as mentioned before, today we want to talk about the options that you can use when you have decided to switch to Proxmox as a virtualization option. Then you need to think about, or I think you need to think about before, but when you're ready with your migration, you need to have your new backup in place and need to make sure that you have the same backup capabilities as before. As mentioned before, with DPX, we can provide support for different workloads. One, what we call here the modern workloads. This is what we tackle with the full open virtualization products. And the other topic is Microsoft 365. This is not part of the story today. I think we did a lot of webinars already there. And please feel free to take a look at our different social media locations. So on our website, we have some information about already existing webinars and information. And also on platforms like YouTube, you find more information about this. When we take a deeper look into vPlus, on the one hand, today we want to focus about the virtualization model, and in this general with Proxmox. I mentioned that we have a lot of different other open hypervisors that we support. But what is also an important feature to think about is, what is the backup location, the target where you want to store your data, and also use different capabilities, for example, to not do a single backup to a single backup destination, and we see the different configuration options later on. But also think about, okay, what is my general approach to have my backup rules that I have defined before also available in vPlus. So first of all, you can decide to do a backup to a single location. Yeah, that's easy. Then some topics I want to highlight here is, you can also do a backup to vStore. So here is the conjunction to the existing product DPX, where we have the vStore capability in place. So this is also something that you can use here inside vPlus. And or as an example here, you can also use different backup storage providers or location providers, for example, Amazon S3 or Wasabi. So you have this capability to also use this additional backup storage providers or backup locations to build your full backup rule set. So perhaps to think about the 3-to-1 rule, to have the first backup to an on-site location and then do an additional backup copy to a location like Wasabi, or perhaps if necessary also to perhaps a tape device or whatever you have in place. So there are different options that you can use and that vPlus can handle. Then, yeah, there are some features to talk about. We can do different levels of virtualization backups here. We can do the agentless full and incremental backup, consistent backup, always relying to the options that you can use here. So there's also, with Proxmox, there's also some kind of client integration that you can use to freeze an application inside to have a consistent backup of this. And so this is also possible. Another topic that we will also see later on in the live demo is that you have different topics of disaster recovery. So for example, you can do a full recovery of a system to the same location to a different location. You can use the backup also to recreate your system as a copy, so perhaps for testing purposes and so on. And you can also use some kind of single item restore, so that you have the ability to just mount your backup to your backup node, and then you can just easily copy single files to it. So there are different topics that you can use. On the other hand, when we think about the backup destinations, as I mentioned before, we have different backup destination types that you can use. And with this, you have also capabilities for deduplication. You have capabilities for example, S3 logs and stuff like this. So there are many different topics that you can use on the different parts of your backup process here. And this, end up just to have it in different bullet points here. We have the modern architecture, also easy to use, and this is the same when you switch over from Proxmox to the backup solution. You have a modern architecture, and it's really intuitive to use it. We use the features of the hypervisor, and we also can integrate with other enterprise backup softwares, and we support a wide range of backup targets. And by the way, and just to highlight this again, if there are any questions in between, please just drop them to the chat or use the question and answer functionality of the Zoom tool here, so that we can perhaps stop in between and take a look at questions that came up. To have a more technical view on the system or on the setup itself, but this is just a short introduction to the capabilities. When we talk about the vPlus solution, then we have always a server part that holds the full configuration, where you configure all your different policies, where you add your different virtualization topics to, and you have a node part. And this is normally, or this can be handled in one system. But when you have a lot of different locations, or you have a very high number of, for example, virtualization hosts or different systems you want to address, then you can also extend the capabilities of vPlus by adding additional nodes, so that this node can handle these different workloads or higher workloads from your different hypervisor hosts, so that you can also enhance the capability of vPlus. And this is also how the communication between the systems is handled. So the vPlus server is communicating between the node, and the node is doing the communication to the hypervisor host. And on the other hand, the node is then taking care of the data transfer. So it will transfer the data from the hypervisor host to the backup destination. This is based on different capabilities. So for example, for Proxmox, we can first do the snapshot on the Proxmox host, then this snapshot is mounted by the node, and then the copy is done to the backup destination. And this then is based on an SSH copy and can handle full backups and incremental backups, just for example. Okay, can vPlus, DPX vPlus be installed on the same machine where DPX is installed? No, I would not recommend to do this. Because then we have a lot of, or we have some interfering modules that are used. So for both systems, we have a web-based administration interface. And so this DPX vPlus server needs to be installed on another server. But as mentioned before, the server and the node for small and medium environments can be installed on one system. So this is something that can be then also later on extended if more more performance is needed. Okay, and the last topic on the theoretical part is DPX and the vStore. With DPX, the vStore is the known target for the backup. And we also have enhanced this capability to vPlus so that you can use this if you have a DPX environment already in place. You can use the same vStore to back up your data from vPlus to the vStore, and you can use the same capabilities there for example, to replicate data and also use this deduplication functionality that we have in vStore enabled. But with this, I want to switch over to a more live view before we take a look at the standard backup process. This is just an add-on. So when you first start the DPX vPlus environment, you see this dashboard. In my example, a lot of stuff is already configured. But when you start from scratch, the easy thing you can do, and this is what I meant, is really important here because it is really intuitive to use this tool. You can use the configuration wizard. So you can say, okay, what is my user interface? Do I want to switch to another language or stuff like this? What kind of nodes I have configured. So this is all pre-configured here. But when you want to enable a backup for a hypervisor, you can easily switch to the source part, select Proxmox VE here, and then go to the next steps. And this wizard will guide you through the information that you need. So first of all, you just need to enter the IP address or the resolvable name of the hypervisor host. Then you need to add username and password. And then in the next step, the connection will be established to the host, and it will also start to scan the environment in the background. We will not finish this wizard here because I already have configured a host, but this is just the easy approach to set up the first connection to the virtual environment. There are also other ways. You don't have to use this wizard. So you can also switch directly to your virtualization provider. Here, the Proxmox VE, or okay, it's an older version, is already configured. And you can also use this create button here to set up all your different hypervisors you have in place and create another connection to another hypervisor that you have. Okay, my mouse is not working. Good. So once this hypervisor is configured, and this is the first part you end up when you click on virtualized environment, then you will see, okay, all the instances that are available. And here, if you have different hypervisors in place, so for example, you have Nutanix, you have Proxmox, whatever you have, all these systems are located here. You get a list of all the systems that are scanned. You can use this search capability if you have a lot of systems in here and you want to switch to a specific name, then you can use the search capability and you will see directly, okay, this is a small Linux system that I have virtualized because it didn't take much space on my virtualization. And you see, okay, there's a policy applied to this, and you see the green dots here for the backup and restore status. That would just say, okay, the last backup that was executed or that was planned was fully executed and is okay. You will have also a lot of buttons here in the backend where you can do an instant backup at any time. You can use the restore capability here, and you can use the mount capability to just mount this existing backup of the system to a node so that you can do a single item restore. Just take a look at different files inside your backup. So if all this is configured, so especially the policy is configured, then you can do the backup. But before we start the backup, I just want to highlight the other parts of the configuration that I've mentioned before. So first of all, we need to define a backup SLA. This is what is called policy, or is handled under policy and schedules. This is where you define, okay, what you want to back up, where you want to back up to, what is the schedule that you define here. Is it always inside the schedule? Is it always a full backup? Do you do full and incremental backups? So everything can be configured in here. So if you take a look inside, you see the policy here. There is an auto assignment possible. So that means that every new system that is added to your hypervisor will be directly included in your backup policy. Depends on if you want to use this. Sometimes it's better to have a lot of control what is really added here. But sometimes if you have a lot of users that just fire up a virtual machine and think, okay, it's in there, so there will be a backup, then this auto assignment tool might be quite interesting. You see the different virtualized environments here, and here down by the rules, you define where to back up to, what is the retention time that you set, and you see also the schedules that you have created and added here. Yeah, backup destination. This is the next part that you need to take care of before you can initiate the first backup. And here within backup destinations, we have different types of backup destinations that we can use. So for example, under file system backup destinations, I have just local file system that I use. I have a vStore that I have in place here. So these are the two backup destinations on file level that I can use. And I have also added an object store here. In this example, it's min.io. I don't have access to a Wasabi system, but this is also the same that you can configure here. So just add Wasabi or whatever cloud provider you have in place here as your backup target. And then you can use this inside your policy to define your backup. And before we ran out of time, I just want to show you how easy the backup is done. So when you want to do a backup, you can just click the backup button. I have configured already a backup for this system. And so when you click on the system, you see, okay, the backup statistics. It will also give you some reports here. And you just easily can see here, okay, these are the actual backups that I have available. There's a backup that was initiated by the administrator. So just by clicking on the button, it's a full backup. And we have 2 incremental backups in here that were executed by the scheduler that is configured. It also gives us a restore history so that you see, okay, what happened here? Oh, there was a restore that was failed. So let's check what was in there. And so you have the full reporting directly here under the system. You can also see some details on the system. So for example, this system only has 1 disk, and this is quite the easy way to take a look at the process itself. So what you can do here, and just want to show you an easy restore way, you can restore to a hypervisor, or you can restore to the node. This means with restore to the hypervisor, I can also create another system. So let me check. I used whatever. This selected backup here. I want to change the name, create a new one, then click on next. And then you see the same topics that you see in other virtualization products. You can define, okay, where I want to do the backup to protect. This is my storage that I have configured here. I can choose a different networking system if I have in place. So I have 2 different networks available. And so this is also something that you can use to recreate a system, for example, for testing. And this is also something that you can define as an automated process. So perhaps every Monday morning, please create me a new testing system that I want to use for whatever, test dev, or for some kind of quality assurance. And then when you click on the button, the restore process will be executed. And by the way, we can take a short look to the Proxmox console here. Also a small system, just one host in here. I think I will add some more notes so that you can also see this cluster capabilities, so the live migration features and so on. And now you will see, okay, at this time we have 2 machines in here. When we take a look at our console, it will show us the workflow execution down here. And here you can take a look at, okay, what is working here? The process restore is running. It will first restore our backup to the node, and then it will do an export to the hypervisor itself. And so you'll see the progress of the restore here. And when the restore is done, you will see that a new system is created on the hypervisor. There's another question. Let me check. I cannot see it fully. Yeah, I think the main advantages are that with the built-in Proxmox system, it's also a process that they have. They do a snapshot of the system and copy a snapshot to a storage that you have configured in the backup system. I think in the future, and I think some of the parts are already there, is also some kind of tape backup that you have in here. But with vPlus, you have the capability to not just be limited to this single how to call it, this single virtualization system, and you have more capabilities regarding the different backup destinations that you can configure. And so with vPlus, you have a broader range of capabilities. So different virtualization systems also backup for cloud-based workloads like Microsoft 365, and also the more capabilities regarding the different backup destinations that are available. And perhaps for example, if you have it in place, also the integration into your existing DPX environment. Okay, restore is running. We can leave it running here just to show you some other topics here. As I mentioned before, you can also do a mount process. So this means you just decide, okay, which backup version I want to use. For example, I use the latest or the oldest backup here, and you can then choose to mount it to a specific node. So in my example, it's node 1, and you can also define a time when this backup is auto unmounted. So this is also something where you as a backup administrator can define this mount and give this capabilities, or give this mounted snapshot then to another user or to the user of the server system itself, to perhaps copy files or do some file interchanges in between. And you don't have to take care about that this mounting is released for some times. You can auto unmount it after a time, and you can also define a specific file system or share this over iSCSI. So there's also this capability to use this mount as an additional option. I think we will not see both processes be finished because we are running a little bit out of the time. Okay, we started 2 minutes late, so I think we can take a look at this. Oh, okay, our system is already restored in here. So you see this system is built up. When we take a look at the hardware, you also see that the hard disk is available there. And so with this, we can fire up the system when the process is not fully finished. So there are the last cleanup task running. and after that we can fire up the system and use it as a restored system in our environment.
Hey, class, I'd like to ask a question for you here while we're waiting for this. So in a few words, I know that we have like DPX and you're showing vPlus here. When would a user decide to go with DPX, and when would they decide to go with vPlus?
I think the best approach to think about DPX or vPlus is depending on the kind of applications you have in place. So I would, and this is also something that we saw in a customer environment, or that we built together with a partner in a customer environment last year, where they have a mixed setup of DPX and DPX vPlus. So in this example, they use DPX still for some ESX hypervisors. They use DPX for block level backups of servers, perhaps with an application integration. So for example, we have a lot of in this customer example, we have a lot of Oracle databases in place, and so an Oracle database is nothing that you would just back up with a snapshot of a virtualization. So in this case, it's more reliable to have this application integration that you can have with a block backup of DPX. And in the second part, what the customer did is to just maintain this existing virtualization systems, or the base virtualization systems for example, Oracle database or also other servers. And for this, they use the capability of vPlus to do a backup of this virtualization images. I think in this example, it was Oracle or were Oracle VMs. And so they use this different capabilities for this here. What might be also interesting, and this is then the deeper integration, what also customers use, is they have DPX in place, as mentioned before, for application backups, block level backups, and also longer archive to tape or second copy backup to tape solutions, and also use vPlus to back up specific hypervisors, and use the combination of vPlus and vStore to then have also with DPX the option to back up this backups on the vStore to tape, and have a long-term copy, a long-term archive to tape option for this too. Okay.
So if I were planning on remaining on VMware, let's say, in this case, would vPlus be recommended or necessary, or would it only be for kind of Proxmox and other hypervisors?
At this time, vPlus is only for the open hypervisors. For the remaining ESX, so VMware and Hyper-V customers, we have the capabilities inside DPX.
And I'm not sure if we did a poll. Martin, can we do a poll real quick? Like if it's even possible, just by show of hands, I'm assuming a number of the people on this call are looking at Proxmox or looking at alternative hypervisors.
Yeah, or if you like, just write a short note into the chat, or yeah, or in the questions area to see, okay, yeah, think about Proxmox, think about other hypervisors, or still have these in place, will be also interesting for us. And by the way, while we are talking, my two restore processes are finished. So you see just the green dots down here. So you can take a look at the different systems here. So I can fire up my restored system in here, and I can also mount or give the mounted access to my administrator to take a look at the files that are restored to this mount area, and so he can or she can restore the data from there. Okay. Any other topics? Any other questions? I'm not sure if we see Any response to your question, Martin?
Yeah, probably. I think we don't have any more questions. In the meantime, I was trying to set up a short, Klaus, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you one more question. And in the
Sure.
meantime, I will try to create, because interestingly enough, we can create poll in Zoom during, while doing live session. So could you tell me a bit more about disaster recovery capabilities in DPX vPlus? And right now I shut up and create a poll. Go ahead, Klaus.
Okay, yeah, disaster recovery is always a brighter thing to talk about. First of all, when we think about the disaster recovery of the backup of virtual environments, of virtual systems, this is just what we saw here with the restore process. So if a system is fully destroyed, we can use vPlus to restore the latest backup of the system. And in my example, it's just a backup once a day. So I think I have configured a weekly full and an incremental per day. But this is also something that you need to decide when you configure your backup or set up your backup rules. How often do you need to have a backup of this system? So this is the first part of disaster recovery. And on the same hand, when we enlarge this disaster a little bit, so if your Proxmox host was destroyed, or all your Proxmox hosts or other hypervisors you have, then you first of all need to add another virtualization host to your system. And this is just when you go to your virtualization providers, create this and add another host to your system. And so then you can also use this restore capabilities to restore it to another hypervisor. Not possible for me here because it's the only hypervisor I have. And then the next evaluation of the disaster is that the full environment is destroyed. And to step one topic back, this is also something that is included in here. So we have already configured an internal database backup of the vPlus solution. So in this internal database, we have all the configuration and all the information about the backup destinations, the nodes. So the full configuration is in here. And with this, we can restore vPlus from scratch, which means that you need to, when you set up your whole backup environment, you will also need to think about where to store this database backup. So this internal backup of DPX vPlus itself. And also you need to think about where do you have all your backup data stored to. So this is the part when you perhaps think about the second location, do an additional backup to a cloud provider, to just another location inside your company environment, or just do a replication to another location. So these are the different, let's call it levels of disaster that we can cover with vPlus here.
Awesome, thank you, Klaus. So we have still we exceeded a little bit our the time of this webinar, but there's nothing wrong about it because the topic was super interesting, and I can tell that we had a lot of questions, and indeed Proxmox is gaining popularity. About the poll, so far only 1/3 of you voted, and it looks like none of you are planning to move to Proxmox or an alternative hypervisor. That's very interesting. We'll surely talk about it later on afterward, offline, after this webinar, because just to let you know, our experts like Klaus, who did terrific presentation and Martin Fun are available for you. Guys, thank you so much for your insights, and thanks to all of you who decided to spend this time with Catalogic and Catalogic experts. Just keep in mind that you can message us directly anytime you want, or you can use our general email info@catalogicsoftware.com. And most importantly, for more interesting news and updates, please go to visit catalogicsoftware.com. This webinar will be soon available online. I will send you all the link to on-demand video so that you can rewatch the webinar whenever you want. Thank you once again for joining us, and see you soon.
Yeah, thanks a lot.